Hi everyone, it's Natalie here for day 2 of the self-compassion challenge. Um, yes, it's necessary. So today I'm going to work with the Spirit Keepers Tarot, which Vitruvian edition, which is the deck I've been deep diving lately. And I mean really deep diving, like I've been doing the 22 weeks with the SKT deep dive, which is real deep, let me tell you. I'll have some more reflections on that in my end of May kind of wrap up video, which I'm hoping to do today, but which may not happen today if self-compassion is a thing, and extendable to the others around me. So we will find out, won't we? Before I start, though, I really wanted to share the METTA Sutta and just read it. So I carry this with me all the time. It's kind of old and like folded up and everything, because it's been in my little prayer, like all of my little prayers and stuff that I do. It's been in my little bag, which has my little button on it. Yeah, it's one of the first ones I ever made. One of the first little pouches I ever made years ago. It's very old at this point and kind of worn out. But it is where I keep all of my sacred texts, and this is one of the ones that stays with me all the time, because of it's just such a good reminder. I need to pull it out more, really. So this is the Buddha's words on loving kindness, or the Karaniya Metta Sutta in Pali. So this is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. So it's a great aspiration. It's a great aspiration. Yeah, thank you for indulging me. I'm going to put a copy of the full text in the description box for anyone who might want it. Yeah, it's a great one. It's also the hardest thing we ever try to do, really. To be that compassionate is a full-time job. And ultimately, any compassion or loving kindness that we undertake, I think it does start with the self, really, right? Because we can't have that to offer to everyone else if we haven't offered it here first. So yeah, this is such a good reminder to have this practice and to do it and everything. So I pulled the Seeker as my significator, and I'm just going to go ahead and start shuffling, and we'll see. what the SKT wants to tell me about what I need to do. What do you want to tell me about my own self-compassion? Let's put it that way. That's a good way to... What would you like to tell me about my own self-compassion? State of self-compassion. Ooh, I got a heavy one today. The Tower. Material and spiritual colliding. Well, yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes. That's a really, the key words there at the bottom of the card, that really describes my relationship right now between the material world and the spiritual world. Just feeling completely pulled between the two and having an awful time trying to reconcile them. I imagine tomorrow there's going to be a little bit more more like of a reflection of the last, today and yesterday. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Feeling like I don't have as much time for the spiritual because material things are perpetually seem to be pulling me, taking care of stuff, needing to work because working earns enough money to be able to do spiritual practice, but then feeling like pulled. At the moment, I've been feeling really pulled away from my formal practice and struggling with that. And I've been choosing to do things which, behind kind of overtly and covertly, right? Behind the scenes and in front of, and in public that are, an effort at building, at trying to build, more of my business. So trying to build more of my business as a doula, and as a reader, while working, which is often the case. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's only been the last sort of since March, really. Yeah, probably since March that I've really been in a place where I could start to see the end of the pandemic coming and had more clarity about what I wanted to do moving forward and like what direction I wanted to go in. And so, yeah, like figuring that out and figuring out what I need to do to get there. And then, yeah, just there's always something, right? There's always something. I also feel, she said, looking around her material, physical surroundings, I'm reminded that I built a tiny house because I wanted to live with less. I wanted simplicity, and I meant simplicity materially. I meant simplicity in terms of I don't need to worry so much about income, keeping bills and, financial obligations low, so that there was more space for the spiritual. And, if you want to be alone and you want to live alone, that's completely possible. But when you want to, when you have a partner and you and your partner have very different ideas about how to live, where to live, what that all should look like, that's different. That's different. Tom has this large house, which we make very poor use of because, he's been living in it and having to run, it's a duplex. So upstairs and downstairs. Right now, upstairs is a studio, downstairs is where we live. But because he's had to move so many times between the two floors over the last 15 to 20 years, in order to keep the place because of needing to rent it. And it's got so many needs. It's an old house. It's got so many needs. And we don't have the income to really repair, or do anything with it. And I don't know how much it weighs on him. I think it does weigh on him. We've talked about it. I know it weighs on him. I really feel the weight of it, because I'm also the one that cleans it and does the upkeep and tries to keep the garden, at least the front yard, looking not like a jungle overcame it. Yeah. Most of the time, what I try to do when I see that there's like spiritual and material ideals, right? Like I want to feel peaceful, and I want to feel at ease, and I want to have, I work really hard to cultivate loving kindness, and I'm always processing something. So I'm always processing some emotion, you know, something that's come up, and offering time and effort and energy to that, which can be really exhausting, right? It can be really exhausting, but it's a good practice generally. Sometimes, however, what ends up happening is that I know, there are certain things where I just kind of take a deep breath. I look around and go, okay, is that really necessary? Do I really need to deal with that right now? Um, does that really need my time, effort, energy, thought, contemplation, engagement, time, money, resources, etc.? And I'm actually pretty adept at just cutting through things that don't need it, that really don't need it. I'm also very, in favor of, this does not need to be an additional source of stress or drama. It's just not needed right now. Right now, that's not the most wise, expense or use of personal resource. There are other times where I know that I choose things based on habit. Like I'm struggling to think of a good example, but I'll put the time and effort into things that are habitual rather than maybe like letting the vacuuming go for a day or two because, or a week because I need to put effort into something else. Oh, there's so much here. There's so much here. And I've already talked for 14 minutes. Yeah, I mean, this is clearly like a wake up call to look at the ways in which these two aspects of my life are colliding, and offer myself a great compassion as I move forward and work through what is necessary. What's necessary. Because it's not just a matter of like, oh, they're colliding, so a little bit of thinking, you'll be able to like sort it out. It's probably more like major, pretty significant stuff. It's the tower. That doesn't, I mean, sometimes it's super significant. Everything changes. And other times it's just like, it's really heavy, right? It's just a heavy contemplation. Given that this is about self-compassion, I'm going to say it's going to be a heavy contemplation. But we don't know yet, right? We don't know. I don't know. We were looking at different possibilities about what to do moving forward right before the pandemic hit. And then the pandemic hit and we were both out of work for 8 or 10 weeks. And then I went back to work for my doula client who passed away last year, who I worked with for a full year. We just had that one break during the quarantine period. And I was working hardcore, hell for leather from then until, the client, until, well, early November, till, just after he passed away and we got a lot of his physical stuff dealt with. And just as I'd started to feel kind of like I was recovering from that situation and ready to move forward and go, okay, it's a new year. Everything's going to be different. That January 6th knocked me, between that and all the election stuff, it just knocked me down. I was over consuming news. I was over consuming information. I have done that a lot in the last year, in more ways than I've ever done. In some ways, it's not a bad thing because it's really opened up a huge wellspring of compassion. Um, and I would say too, like during all of that time, I was also involved in working in a group within my Buddhist community focused around basically taking all of the white people in the Sangha who were willing to look at it and really examine our own attachment, to white supremacy. But first, recognizing like how does that function within a society? What does that look like? How do we participate in it? How does that act on us as individuals? So once again, having perfectionism brought up again, and having to confront that, along with many, 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 many other things. Yeah, I did a lot of heavy work. And so then, yeah, anyway, it's been a lot. And then I ended up when my dog got so sick last year, and at the beginning of the year, right around January 6th, that really, the combination of the two really, really tore me down for a while. And I did get very depressed. It was just, there was nowhere to go. There was nothing to do besides reconcile at that moment with what was happening. And then, do I want to have my dog euthanized, or do I want to find a way forward and actually, be able to, give him some quality, what does it mean to have quality of life under those circumstances? It was hard. And right now, I'm facing that with my rats because they're really old and they're nearly 3 and they have really bad tumors and they're not well. Their tumors are huge. They're not cancerous so much as just old rats get tumors. And they always say, don't try, on rats this old, don't try to operate, give them as good a quality of life as you can, as long as you can see that they're having quality of life. And then when it's time, it's time. And it's time. And it's really hard. It's not something I really want to deal with or have to do, but it's necessary. So, yeah. So I need some self-compassion. Yeah. I didn't think I was going to get all weepy. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to be like this at all. I think I probably don't allow enough space anymore for this because I spent so much time while I was really grieving and depressed just sobbing because I was trying to make decisions about my dog. I still feel like I made the right decision there. Like I still feel like I did the right thing. I'm happy that I have done, made the choices that I have. I really love my dog. And I'm really loving the time that I have with him right now. It is like having it's like having a child, really. It is like having like a special needs child right now because it does restrict, like, can I leave where can I go? What can I do? How long can I be away? The way it would if you had a small child, but I don't regret that at all. And I know that it's temporary. And so I'm just enjoying loving him for as long as I can, because I know that that's temporary. It's temporary. It also takes away from the emotional energy I have left for Sven and Einar, my rats. So this is just, I hope I'm not neglecting them horribly. I try not to. They don't want to get out and move around as much as they did. They're pretty happy to just kind of feel stable and comfortable in their cage. But I go and pet them and I give them every like sweet and treat and like all of their favorite things all the time. So they're like not eating a whole lot of really good healthy food, but I figure, they're on hospice. They can eat whatever the hell they want. So, they get all the goods, they get all the yummies. But yeah. So I'm sure I'll have more reflections about this. If you're still here, thank you for listening and for being here. And I'll be back again tomorrow. Okay. Bye.